Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, good February, good whatever it is. For those of you in the Northeast, I hope you're staying safe and warm. For those of us in South Florida, we're still warm down here, and hopefully everybody's AC is working. I'm having some AC issues myself, so if you hear some banging in the background, it is needed because you can't live in South Florida without air conditioning. As many of you know, I am an attorney who is also a consultant and a coach. I am trying to help people figure out what it is they want to do with their life. And it is Ask Jason Weiss. Ask me questions, ask away. So before we get started, there we go. The disclaimer's on the screen. Nothing discussed today constitutes legal advice. Should you seek legal advice or need legal advice, consult an attorney directly. That will establish your attorney-client privilege. Then you will have confidentiality. If you post a question, if you listen to anything we say, it's not legal advice. So without any further ado, I have with me today a new contact, a new friend, and someone new in my life, Jonathan Beskin. Jonathan is the CEO, owner, inventor, digital advertising guy, all of those great things, and a fellow South Floridian like myself, who is here to talk about today singles swag. And we're going to throw love into it. We got a little heart going right here. We're going to throw love in as well because Valentine's Day is coming up in 5 days. So let's just jump right in, Jonathan. Singles swag. Explain. I mean, you caught my attention with it. So, and I've been single for a very, very long time, and my wife is probably in earshot and will probably tell me I'll never be single, and I'm okay with that. But what is single swag and why single swag?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be on the podcast. Very honored and glad to be here and glad to connect with you. So Single Swag is a company that I started about 7 years ago, a little bit under 7 years. That is the really the first and largest monthly subscription service designed for single women. And at the time that I started this, no one else was focusing on marketing to this niche of single women. And I'm not sure, I haven't really listened to a lot of previous episodes or this channel, but so there may be some awareness, but people don't recognize that more than half of the US population, the world population, is single, or adults that are unmarried. And the amount of women in particular that are making more of a conscious decision to stay single longer, the kind of prominence of people that are divorced. It's really a large market segment, so no one else is focusing on that. So it's a normal kind of subscription box model. It's a recurring revenue model. So people sign up for our service on our website. We typically advertise on social media, and then every month we send them a kind of specially curated box that includes full-size women's lifestyle products. The products are from categories like organic beauty, skincare, jewelry, fashion accessories, books, food, and really a whole lot more. And we've gotten really great feedback on the boxes, and people like the box also because of the value that we provide. So the box is $50 a month, and the value is over $200. So it's verified retail value, but that's kind of the model for Single Swag. One thing I'll note is that the company was in the top 200 of the Inc. 5000 with some other big prestigious names that have been in the top 200 of a list like that in 2020 and on the list again in 2021.
So guys, girls, ladies, men, whatever you identify with, I got to be PC correct today. Check out singles, SINGLESSWAG.com. Singles swag. For those of us, even us old married guys, going on there and not knowing what to get my wife this year for Valentine's Day, like, that's a great thing. Get her a box. Let her read about it. I mean, there's and I've checked out the site, hand selected products, things that are good. I've got two important, really three important women in my life: my mother, my wife, and my daughter. Heck, something like this would be great for all three of those. For $150, I get them all taken care of. I'm in good shape.
Yeah. What's interesting about it also is that none of the products in the boxes are limited to single women. These are just full-size women's lifestyle products. Nothing that overtly says I'm single. It's just kind of a fun way to treat yourself. We don't verify relationship status. We're not checking to see if you're single. And we get a lot of organic advocacy in our advertising, actually, from people that don't necessarily identify as single, that could be married in a long-term relationship, that just enjoy our boxes and enjoy loving themselves and kind of the monthly experience and the way we curate things. So it's not really limited. It's been more of, we've had success with digital advertising, kind of promoting the brand, that type of thing, single swag, but not everyone who subscribes is single, and you don't have to be single to enjoy what's in the box.
And I don't have to be worried if when my wife signs up for it that, I got something coming down the pipe, that it's all good. Now, you talked a little bit about the organic growth, and that's what kind of drew me to you. I am a big LinkedIn guy. That's the social media I like. I like to post. I like to read. I like to comment. And I've been following your story originally from afar, but now obviously we're connected and we chat. And, I love the message that you send as part of LinkedIn. And it's really, it applies across the board to everybody, single, married, man, woman, whatever it is. It's, you just eloquently put it out there. Like, you've been at this for, you said 7 years, 8 years. And, in the beginning, people were doubting you, as my kids would call it. There were haters out there. And I love to see that you basically never gave up and you just continued to follow, what it was that you thought would work. And here you are today, successful company. You've got other things in the hopper and the fires, which is awesome. But tell us about, you came up with this idea. How'd you come up with this idea for a single swag?
Yeah, happy to share. So I actually went to business school at FAU, so Florida Atlantic University here in Boca Raton. And I started that program initially wanting to make myself more attractive to potential employers. So I had essentially a 10-year career in banking, financial services. Never really did anything that exciting. Always felt like I was capable of doing more, but really, grew up with kind of some inherent neuroticism, had a lot of anxiety, was really afraid to take a lot of risks, and never really had any money. So, I never really had the kind of fuel to add to the fire, so to speak, from that sense. So it was always challenging. I always felt like I was just as smart or smarter potentially than the people I was dealing with in kind of my corporate career, but I never really had. And it led to even more anxiety, even more depression and kind of that. So anyways, I went to business school, the MBA program at FAU. Part of the curriculum in that program was kind of studying different scenarios in actual businesses. So we studied well-known companies, then you would have group discussions, that type of thing. We started to focus on in a class on recurring revenue model businesses. So we studied like Netflix and Birchbox, which was kind of a pioneer in a sense in subscription boxes. And I decided I wanted to start that type of business. And I had no prior real entrepreneurial experience. But that kind of thought process led me to that. And then I was sitting at home. So I've been divorced since my son was about 1. And my son now is almost 14. And he was about 5 years old at the time. And I was sitting at home lonely on a Saturday night, just me. I couldn't go out. I see all these people, whether it's accurate or not, having such a great time out on social media, posting about it. And I was sad. And I thought to myself, I also hadn't been in a relationship in a period of time. And I thought that wouldn't it be nice to get a gift? I hadn't gotten a gift in a while. And then I thought, well, other single people may feel the same way. They may be kind of sad. They may be lonely. They may want a gift. And I kind of had this, foundational thing in the back of my head that the subscription box, what I've been kind of studying in that MBA program. And I thought, how about a subscription box for single women? And I did some research that night. Kind of when I bought the domain Single Swag, I bought a few other domains, in a similar vein. Excuse me. And that was kind of how the initial idea was born. And I'm glad to elaborate more, but I'll stop there for a second.
No, this is great. I mean, all I keep thinking when I first checked it out was, I personally never really did the subscription thing except Harry and David's. I always wanted their pairs. That was the only way before they opened up in the malls and you could go in and grab one. That was the only way to get it. And when you wanted these pears, you had to get the subscription box. So I ate their apples and their grapes, but all for pears season. And that model is just great. I mean, we all see it, even Outlook 360, right? You used to go to Walmart or Best Buy and you'd buy the card and you put the code in and then you'd have it forever. Now you spend 10, 12 bucks a month and everything is subscription. You don't have it. You don't own it. You don't. And it works. I also like the fact that you could go in and you could pick things that you want in the Single Swag. You could, go ahead and do that. I popped in and, I get a 30% off discount just from checking out the website. So that is, I love it. I love the fact that it's not just thrown at you. It's there. It's find it, look at it, and you're like, oh wow, that's kind of neat. Sending yourself a gift, that's a great thing, or even if you don't want to send it to yourself, like you could send it to a friend. You could send it to your mom. It's great. It's great stuff. So you were sitting at home on a Saturday night, single guy, father of a 5-year-old. I'm assuming your 5-year-old was, and you came up with it. What were some of the other websites that you thought about? And if they're competitors, don't put them out there. But what are some of the others that you thought about, just out of curiosity?
Yeah. So I bought other domains that night, like Singles Crate, kind of Divorce Swag, different things in that kind of vein. But that was a time where I really did a lot of research. And what I found with this type of business, which really makes it attractive for people that are looking to become entrepreneurs or start, is that there are really no barriers to entry. So at the time I started this, I really didn't have any money. I mean, I wasn't making anything serious in my kind of the whole time I had this corporate career in finance, and most I ever made was maybe around 100,000, and that was kind of at the peak of that career. But so I was able to start the company for under $2,000. That includes things like you'd be familiar with that involve legal services and establishing like an LLC and things of that nature, and getting everything set up. That's why there's so many of these businesses. So there could be hundreds of thousands, or at least 100,000 subscription boxes. The real challenge is scale. So how do you take this in what's pretty competitive space for eyeballs on digitally and other subscription box competitors, and how do you scale that business? Fortunately, we were able to do that, to go in the first month to under 50 boxes a month to over 50,000 boxes a month, kind of at our peak. And, with a real growth trajectory. But that's really the challenge. So the beauty of these types of e-commerce businesses is that it's really easy to start them. It doesn't cost any money. The challenge is scale. And fortunately, we were able to do that.
And what do you think was your number one obstacle in after convincing yourself you can do it? Because I know that's my number one obstacle when I'm trying to do something else. So your mindset's there. I got this. I can do it. I know. Okay. You went to legal. You set up your LLC. You set up your company. Okay, great. I'm ready to rock and roll. My bank account is set up. EIN is set up. Now what?
Yeah. Well, really, what I really was focused on from the beginning is advertising and how we're going to acquire customers. And this is what I mean. I speak to a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs now and people that want to start a subscription box or want to, work with me in some capacity, and they're focused on the products in the box, the design of the box. I mean, what's really important in the beginning, from my perspective, is how you're going to acquire customers and the cost. The two biggest kind of financial metrics in this business are what it costs to acquire a customer and how long you can keep the customer. So essentially the lifetime value of a customer. And I knew that was going to be critical. I did a lot of research, and I kind of figured out a lot of thought went into the initial pricing, which is a little bit different than the pricing today, because when you have this type of subscription business and you have a kind of subscriber base you want to keep, it's difficult to change things like a price, because that's kind of an invitation for subscribers to cancel and that type of thing. So really what I was focused on was how we're going to do that. So initially, we were doing some similar stuff to this. So we were working with women that had an audience, or whether it was a podcast, or whether it was at the time when I started the business, really the hot social media platform. Today, it's really TikTok. At that time, it was more Instagram. So really, the foundational platform and what I was focused on there is kind of cultivating an audience on Instagram. And really what scaled the business to the levels it did were we were, growing, and we're on the Inc. 5000, and we're doing close to 20 million in revenue a year profitably, was Facebook ads and Instagram advertising. And for over 4 years, we were spending over 10,000 a day on these ads. And I taught myself that skill. So that wasn't that's pretty common that most businesses outsource that function within their company. So that's something that I taught myself. But I would say, to answer your question directly, that one of the biggest hurdles for me, and I think you touched on this at the introduction, is that everything I was doing from a marketing perspective was working. Fortunately, this was at a time when it was kind of great timing, because a lot of the stuff I was doing, I was creating good messaging and had imagery that I put together, and I was testing and doing right. But I was talking to people, so I know entrepreneurial experience. So I was kind of putting myself out there within the network I had at the time, and people were kind of laughing at me. And people were telling me that this idea is a joke. There's no way that a guy could kind of scale a business for single women. I was kind of, I grew up in Boca, where people, have money, and I grew up with a single mom who was a teacher. I would, just some examples I share that still stick with me. I would be hanging out at kids' houses in some of the fancier neighborhoods here, and some kids would get invited to stay for dinner, and I wouldn't get invited to stay for dinner because I wasn't of the class of these people. So it kind of put a chip on my shoulder. But so many people were laughing at the idea, punching holes in it, being cynics, kind of bullying me about it. And I would say that overcoming that was the biggest thing I had to overcome, because it really put me in a mindset where at times I wanted to give up. And I really thank God that I didn't give up, because this is a true life changer for me and my family. But that was really the biggest hurdle, is that these individuals who really had no kind of knowledge base or experience in this industry, and weren't necessarily even entrepreneurs themselves, were very negative in an aggressive way in some cases, and it was challenging to overcome, but thankfully I did.
And I'm glad, and I know people, your family's glad, and people that work with you are glad, and all of that. And it just shows that sometimes you have to just put in the earplugs, and put your head down, and go for it, and not listen to what, again, all the haters say, or the critiquers. Like, hey, look, Jonathan, it might not work because have you thought of blah, blah, blah. That's like constructive criticism, which, I would take nicely. Hey, that's a great idea. I didn't think of that, as opposed to, hey, it's not going to work. You're a guy selling to women. Come on, give me a break. You got to just tune that out. And it's funny, because I tell friends of mine that are, new parents and all of this, I said, everybody's going to tell you how to raise your kids. I'm going to give you one piece of advice. Just say to everybody, Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. Let me think about that and listen to nobody and do what you want. And they're like, well, why should I listen to you? I'm like, you should listen to whoever, you want, do your thing, and just stay focused and stay dedicated. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to focus on one of our sponsors, and we're going to go ahead and run a commercial. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about the boxes, the content, a little bit about digital marketing. And then I always end these shows with like the toughest question in the world. So don't freak out. You have no clue what the toughest question is going to be, but I think you'll be able to handle it. If you could handle single swag, you can handle my question. So hang tight. Jonathan Beskin here with us. Singleswag.com. Check it out. Really great stuff. And we're going to go for a commercial, and we'll see you in 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone. We are back. I'm Jason Weiss. I'm your host of the Ask Jason Weiss show. I am an attorney, so I got to put the disclaimer out here. Nothing is legal advice. Don't rely upon anything I say. Should you seek legal advice, consult an attorney directly. We have no attorney-client privilege here, and nothing I say you should rely upon. Other than the fact that you should go check out singleswag.com, because I have Jonathan here, who is the owner of the company. And again, I started at the top of the hour where we talked about this, his never give up attitude, his putting earplugs in and really not listening to the haters, but always open to constructive critique and ideas and things along those lines. So Jonathan, what brought you into the whole digital marketing? Like you said, you taught yourself. Like, how did you learn it? Where did you go? Where did you, and don't give away trade secrets. But, if, I have a 16-year-old son and he wants to go ahead and start marketing, something for himself with his lacrosse life, let's say. Where'd you learn? How'd you do it? Where'd you get the know-how?
Yeah, it's really a great question. And the answer is that I use a lot of online free resources. I mean, again, when I was starting the company, I really had no money. I had no real connections. I didn't have anyone who was involved in this space in kind of my immediate circle of friends or family. So I really had no choice but to kind of take advantage of what was out there. So I read a lot of articles. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I kind of sacrificed a lot of time watching TV or going out or doing things that ultimately can be rewarding in the short term, but really I was looking more for this business to be a way to improve my life in the long term. So I was willing to make those sacrifices. And it was really I didn't become an expert overnight. But over time, I definitely have cultivated and built some expertise and built a skill that I can use, to market other businesses. But it was a lot of trial and error. And the primary platform that I mentioned we were able to grow the business on was Facebook ads, which includes Instagram, and they kind of use artificial intelligence to determine, so you have an objective with these ads. So our objective is always to make a sale or what's called a conversion. And, so they're supposed to be optimizing the advertising dollar spend towards achieving that objective. And so whether that's showing it on Instagram, whether that's showing it on Facebook, whether it's showing it in a story versus on a feed or wherever the appropriate place is, that's really the goal. And that's kind of how I built the company. So that's just one area of digital advertising. At this point, we do have a more sophisticated operation that I kind of lead, and that's one of my key responsibilities in the company. We're aggressively doing email marketing, and we have over 500,000 total email addresses that we're sending, different messages to in different segments within our company on a daily basis. We're advertising on Google AdWords. This is not really a product that people are proactively searching for. So it's not, so Google has never been really a key channel for us, but we do definitely get some sales and conversions there. As I mentioned before, kind of the key, I talk to a lot of other e-commerce founders. I talk to a lot of people in digital advertising. Everyone is focused on TikTok. And TikTok is kind of the key channel now. So we're trying to build more of a strategy for TikTok. TikTok has a very similar back-end ad platform as Facebook now. So we do paid ads on TikTok. And we're really doing a variety of things. There are some kind of non-biased subscription box review companies. And we have an affiliate kind of marketing relationship with them. We have an affiliate program where anyone who is interested, so let's say there were listeners to the podcast or anyone who has a blog or some other type of digital business or social media followers, we provide links, unique links through this affiliate program through a company called shareasale.com. And for everyone who shares that links, if one of their subscribers or one of their followers uses that link and purchases on our site, they get paid a commission. And that's kind of how that is set up. So yeah, it's become a pretty sophisticated setup at this point. But it started just by me, being gritty and really learning as much as I could, and a lot of testing and trial and error.
Now, do you have a target? I don't like the word, but I'll use it. An avatar, a target avatar. It's a woman of a certain age, or do the boxes vary? Like, can you put in your age? And then, like, my daughter is 13, right? If I were to sign her up for a subscription, because she's 13 and can't do it herself, but if I were to sign her up for a subscription, would it be more things that are appropriate for her as opposed to my wife, who's obviously older than my daughter?
Yeah, so it's really an important question. An important thing that we've had to think about from the beginning of the company is everything on a monthly basis, the products in the box are essentially the same. So if someone is 13 or if someone is 55, they're essentially receiving the same items. So we not only have to have items that have a broad appeal from that sense, but, people have different skin tones, and people have different, neck sizes and things of this nature. So we really have to be thoughtful about those things when we're putting these boxes together. And fortunately, our team has really done an amazing job of putting together products and using things like extenders on jewelry. And we do a lot of neutral tones. But, of our boxes and the way we put our boxes together, we've always gotten very positive feedback. And after the show, I'd love to send a few boxes to your house, and I'd love to get some feedback from your wife and daughter. And, see, we're always looking for honest feedback. But yeah, it's definitely something thoughtful. But to answer the question also about our kind of, we had the most success with women in there from about mid to late 20s through mid to late 40s. That's kind of the kind of sweet spot where we've seen our data shows. That's where we've had the most success in our digital advertising.
So one of the things that you mentioned where there's that fine line, that balance was, changing the price of a subscription. And it was very refreshing to hear that come out of your mouth. And I'm going to say that because, I'm constantly, I'm a Netflix subscriber, right? It seems like every 6 months I'm getting something from Netflix saying, hey, your subscription price went up. And it's kind of like, they don't care. They don't really try to say that. I remember when I was first on Netflix, it was $9.99 a month. Heck, my dad was on Netflix when they were mailing CDs or DVDs to him, and he was returning them. So Netflix went into all digital, $9.99, $11.99, $15.99. I think I'm paying like $21.99 a month, but I keep it going. Same thing, Disney Plus and all of these. So it's very refreshing to hear from the owner and founder of a company that keeping things at that level is important. And I know I do that in the legal field. I have clients that I've been working with. I'm the lawyer for 22 years. So I have a client 20 years I've been working with. And the hourly rate that I charged him 20 years ago is the hourly rate I charge him today, which is like, I don't know, maybe 60% of my normal billable rate. So I say I hold true, and I value that. So I want to reward my long-term subscribers. So I think that's awesome, and it's very refreshing to hear that you're trying to keep it. That doesn't mean you're locked in for hey, you're always going to be at the same price forever, but at least you recognize it and you try. We don't get an explanation from Netflix why all of a sudden it went up $2 a month. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious, even from a legal perspective, what their, I would think there would have to be some type of transparency there if they're going to raise rates or some type of notification. But I'm definitely not a legal expert by any means. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of the areas that, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, that you're just very thoughtful about. And obviously, one of the things that we're most sensitive to is keeping subscribers happy with what they receive, not concerned that they're paying, $50 a month. When we started, it was $40 a month. And we did have to raise prices within the last year. We were actually one of the last, there's kind of a group of larger subscription boxes that we're very kind of connected with. And, they all raised prices way before we did. And it's kind of a product of some global economic factors like, shipping and, the cost of products. And really, in the last couple of years, in like a post-COVID environment, the cost of doing business for everyone I talk to across a number of industries has gone up. So we really had no choice if we wanted to sustain the business.
And I deal with this now. I had to raise my rates over time, and clients are like, well, look, we're still paying, you're still doing the legal work. You're still doing all of that, like, why are you raising your rates? And I'm like, well, my internet fee went up, my Netflix, my cable, my, all of the things that I need, my research platform, the company that I use for background checks, like everybody has gone up. And that means that my cost to you, I've got to do it. And it's not like I went from, $300 an hour to $400 an hour. I went from, 350 to 375 or 375 to 400. But it's tough. It really is. And that's the biggest thing that you hear is, now I can't afford it, or now I can't do it, or now, and, it sucks. But, look, a family of 4 eating dinner from Chick-fil-A runs me $80. How, my son's a big boy. How can I do that? And that's Chick-fil-A. I understand I could probably go to McDonald's or Burger King and be at 50 or 55, but $80. So I always mention my son or my daughter in all of these podcasts. So I'm going to do that now. I threw that quick intro into there. So one of the things is, you're very passionate about what you do, and that's a great thing. And I like that. And, my passion, as many people know, is my family, my kids, and my son is an avid lacrosse player. And lacrosse seems to have really been a phenomenal glue for me. So you and I connected on LinkedIn. A gentleman who works with you happens to be involved in lacrosse. And that's where it kind of like intersected. So one of the things is, this is something you were passionate about. You followed it. You got involved. You followed your passion, and you are quite successful with it. Maybe not as successful as you want to be, or maybe more successful than you ever thought you would be, but you got there. And you followed that passion. You never gave up. And I like that. That's something that, everybody can learn from. So, look, you got a degree from FAU, which is right here in Boca, which is a great place. And, if your phone rings or you get a text or an Instagram message from, hey, I'm an aspiring FAU business school student. What's your piece of advice for me? Like you made it, you're on top of the world, or at least you look that way. What do I do? Like, where do I go? Like, what's next? What kind of piece of advice would you give to that young man or young woman?
Yeah, fortunately, I actually have a great relationship with FAU, and they invite me to speak, typically most semesters to MBA students and undergraduate students on primarily marketing topics. But they do ask me for that advice. And I would just say to, my biggest message from my experiences is just do it, figure it out, and trust your gut. And I think that even people to this day are still telling me and trying, and I actually have some credibility now. I kind of have built this business that, there's some publicity tied to that. There's some awareness. I was like on a full page in Inc. magazine when we were on the Inc. 5000 the first time. So I've kind of done that, but people still doubt me, and people still kind of, try to poke holes in it. And I think that's not an uncommon thing. And I think that, if you have an idea and you want to change your life, even if you don't have money, there's always going to be obstacles, and there's always going to be reasons to not do it. The timing is not right. You have too much going on with your family. I mean, I started this when I was a single dad with a full-time job, with a lot of other responsibilities, with no money, and I was able to figure it out. So I think that it's really about just rolling up your sleeves and not making excuses and kind of just doing it. You may not be successful the first time, you may fail, but I can guarantee you're going to learn a lot in the process of doing that and at least making an attempt.
And these days, and I was on the phone with somebody right before we hopped on the show, these days, I think like 25 or 30% of the working population has what they call a side hustle. And I think 90% of those 30% want their side hustle to turn into their full-time thing, which is great. So, but like you said, you need to be disciplined. You need to have balance. You need to figure out your plan. Follow you. Give me a call. Like, this is the kind of stuff I do. I can help you from a legal standpoint. I can help you get with the right digital and marketing people. And these are the types of things that I think the up and coming generations and the stars that are being born. Like, this is the kind of stuff that they see, and we just all got to just help them out and support them as much as humanly possible. So we're getting towards the end of our show, and I usually try to throw out, some of the hardest questions known to man, and all of these things. So for lawyers, I usually ask, something along the lines like, what do you think is the most realistic, legal movie out there? And, most people say My Cousin Vinny. So have you seen the movie Boiler Room?
Yeah. Recently, but I've seen it more than once. Yeah.
So do you remember the scene where he's sitting in his kitchen and he gets the phone call and they're trying to get him, selling him a newspaper subscription?
Yes.
And they're like, hey, and all this. And he teaches them. He's like, no, you got to go at it like this, and you got to go at it like that.
Yep.
Where did you come up with, your idea to, get it as a subscription as opposed to like a one-time, hey, buy this box? And then how did you figure out what to put inside the box?
Yeah, well, first of all, before we ended, I wanted to just say that I agree with you on the lacrosse thing. I'm very passionate. It's one of the things I love the most. My son has been playing lacrosse since he was 5 years old, wants to play in college, is hopefully on a track to do that if that's really what he wants to do.
So forget my question. Let's talk about that. What position does your son play?
Attack.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So he's one of the quick guys with a short stick that goes in and tries to avoid kids like my son, who's 6'3", 220, and plays with a long pole. So our thing is, long pole life. That's what it's all about with us. Everything's a long pole. I love lacrosse, and I didn't get to play it much growing up. I love it for the discipline. I love it for the teamwork. I love it for, you need your lacrosse IQ. And that's huge. Your son is an attackman, righty or lefty?
Righty.
And does he play for a club team?
Yeah. He played on the Stealth World Series team last year. He played for Sweelax, Florida previously. Now he actually goes to a prep school outside of Boston. And he is playing on a team called Massachusetts up there. And they're kind of excited about the summer season. But it's something I haven't been able, with him being at kind of school up there, it's something I haven't been able to watch as much. I mean, he's still playing up there. They can kind of only have indoor training this time of year. I'm excited for the summer and the opportunity to be out there with the other parents and dads like you, and maybe we'll run into each other on the circuit.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we're going to be up there. My son's a 2025. We're going to be up in the Northeast. He's playing with a team called Triple H right now. But we've played Massachusetts. We played Stealth, and we did the World Series of Youth Lacrosse right after COVID was clear to go. So that is the passion. And it's funny. I find that when I talk, and I was at an event the other day, I talked about lacrosse. I didn't even talk about what I did. And before I knew it, I got 6 business cards and 7 DMs saying, hey, I checked you out afterwards. You're a lawyer? You're a fractional general counsel? Like, I need one of those. Let's talk. And I'm like, I don't really want to talk about law. Let's talk about lacrosse. And before you know it, I got new clients. So to me, it's always, promote your business, but talk about what you're passionate about. Talk about what you love. Obviously, you love your son. You love the fact that he plays lacrosse. You're letting him play up in Boston and Massachusetts, which I don't like Boston. I'm a Yankees fan, but it's okay. But don't hide the passions is what I think. Whatever you're passionate about, let people know, and before you know it, similar people are going to be attracted to you.
Yeah, and even from that perspective, something I did because I thought it'd be nice for all the people that checked into the World Series hotel with the Stealth team. My son is 2027. Everyone got a box. So everyone, when they checked in the hotel, I sent these boxes in advance. So it was a good way to. I really wanted to. I wasn't really looking to gain anything from it. I was just looking to, be nice, and I had become friendly with a lot of these people. Some of them I didn't know that well, but it was also a great conversation starter, and people had some connections with me for the business. And we actually happen to have sometimes some excess boxes that we need to use for these promotional purposes or to, give out. We're dealing with so many boxes a month that it was nice to be able to do that. And it was a great way to connect with people a little bit further.
So we blew through our time. We're done. Hey, one last plug, singleswag.com. Check it out. You don't got to be single, and check it out. For those of us that are scrambling, because Valentine's Day is 5 days away, go to singleswag.com. Get your wife, your girlfriend, your mother, your sister, your aunt, your daughter, your cousin, anybody. Get them a box. Get them signed up. They're going to love it. I checked out the website before. There's some neat stuff on there. I can't wait to connect with you in person, Jonathan. Looking forward to it. Two South Florida guys. FAU, RJ Martino is now part of the FAU team. If you don't know that name, you should. That's it. Thank you so much for being on this show. Thank you so much for all you do. And what's the best way if somebody wants to reach out to you? Just go to the website and go on the login or the content?
No. So, they wouldn't be able to reach out to me directly on the website, but they can email me. My email address is Jonathan, just JONATHAN @singleswag.com. It's important. I always mention that there's two S's in the middle. So it's sometimes, people make that mistake. So I mention it, but feel free to email me. That's the best way.
Great.
Happy to be here.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Have a happy and a healthy Valentine's Day. It's right after the weekend. Thank you for all you do. CC and the GoingSoloMedia.com network, thank you so much for doing this, because without CC, we couldn't. We look forward to chatting with you all again. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everyone. CC, thank you.